So welcome everyone to the Co-Creators Convergence Thursday night Creator Convos. I'm Noelle Marshall and I'm here with my beloved.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bob Warner. We are so happy that you're here to spend the evening with Carolyn and Mark. It's going to be a fantastic conversation. That's what we're here for, Thursday night conversations.
Absolutely. And Bob is going to be helping with the tech. And he also is a person who's responsible for getting this recording up into our archives at co-creatorsconvergence.com. So I want to keep you in suspense before we introduce my dear friend, Mark Porteous and CAROLYN McGEE. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Co-Creators Convergence. Then we'll be back for conversation. So hold on just one moment. So we're back. Again, welcome everyone to the Co-Creators Convergence. And I'm very excited tonight to have my dear friend, Mark Porteous and CAROLYN McGEE here. Now, Mark and I and Bob go back to Barbara Marx Hubbard in 2012. And we met him on our tour around the country, trying to raise awareness about the Earth 2012 gathering on December 22nd, 2012, where Barbara Marx Hubbard declared day one of the new humanity. So we had many celebrations, and she's just such a wonderful teacher, friend, visionary. And through her, I've just met so many wonderful, amazing people, and we've really kept together in this community. So Mark, welcome. And I know you have brought a very special friend of yours. She's also our friend too, CAROLYN McGEE. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Mark. You can introduce CAROLYN and then hopefully have a little centering. And Bob and I will be busy with the tech in the background. So there you go. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you so much, Noelle. Thank you for such a wonderful introduction. And I love the history that we shared together. I love everything about carrying on the work of Barbara Marx Hubbard, and especially around the birth 2012, that we really are in a whole new era. And if we've learned nothing over the time between 2012 till 2020, it is that we are creating a new way of being. And I'm so excited to be here tonight with my dear friend CAROLYN McGEE, another bearer of the light, and just excited to share the work that she's doing. We'll talk a little bit about the book that I'm a part of, Inspired Living. But yeah, let's start off with a little bit of a centering. CAROLYN, hello.
Hello. And so one of the things that I always say with centering is that you need to be able to utilize the background noises. I don't know if you can hear my dog, but there is something outside that is distressing him. So when I do my centering work, when I do my divine work, I invite people to take the energy that's around them and utilize it for the centering. what is distracting you? What is pulling your attention off? What are you perhaps overreacting to? Because I can tell you there's nothing going on out there. So just, a little bit of a lesson for all of us as we step into this centering and this being versus doing. A big piece of my ego wants to walk into the other room and find out what's making him crazy. I know that I need to be centered and be present. So I invite you all to do the same thing too.
I just want to really stop you real for just a second there, because I love that you said that. This just happened to me today in my meditation. I meditate in the same seat every single morning. And this morning, earlier than ever, the lawn blower was right outside my window. And I was in deep meditation. As it came up, I just laughed about being in the moment with the lawn blower at the moment.
Absolutely. And I used to teach this one class near where there was a train that would go by, and it never failed to support the class that when the whistle blew, there was always something of very great importance. So it really is a great reminder for us to utilize what is in our environment to help us center and really focus on what's important. So,
and I have a feeling that your dogs are just jealous. They want to be part of this incredible co-creator circle.
I know. They know that Magi's hanging out behind the scenes and he's not happy. All right, so let's just really drop into our bodies for a moment. It's really important to open up your body. I tend to like to cross my ankles, so I always have to be conscious that I keep them open, or crossing my legs or crossing my arms. If you also open your palms to the sky, you are opening up all of those receptors in your palms. So let's just do that. Really be aware and conscious of how you are connecting. And let's take in 3 deep breaths together. I always like to gather the energy. So in for 1 and out. Make a little sound. And 2. And 3. And now I invite you to put your hands on your chest. And if you want to cross your palms over your chest, that's fine for this. And just imagine that there is a pillar of light, almost like a flashlight, that's going from your heart through your body upwards. So past your throat chakra, your third eye, out of your crown, and then moving into, I call your personal star of inspiration. It's about 36 inches above your head, and it's where the divine masculine is magnified. And it's also where we find our inspiration, where we connect into source, our own personal version of that. And just really connect in, do some of the breathing on your own regular basis. But start to feel that flow of information that goes from your heart. Perhaps there's something in your heart that's blocking you. So just release it, allow it to go up into that star and be converted into white light, into the light of God, the light of love. And just breathe that for a moment. Feel it, see it, however you process information. And now bring your awareness back to your heart again and see that there is another pillar of light that moves from your heart all the way through your body down into the center of the earth. You see it move from your heart past your solar plexus, your sacral, your root, out of your body and all the way down into that molten lava center, literally the heartbeat of the earth, the place that we all call home. What makes us one? This is the center of nurturing, of centering, of grounding and connection. And again, just allow that energy to move from that center of the earth all the way into your heart. Notice that it flows in 2 directions. There's information flowing from your heart. Perhaps your heart's holding just a tad bit of guilt, shame, resentment, anger, judgment, not good enough. We all have those personal energies that we would like to release. Just release them to the center of the earth. And notice that comes up from the center of the earth into your heart is love, pure, unconditional love, that divine feminine energy. And then stretch your imagination even further and notice that that energy flows through your heart. So we are fully connected. Father Sky, Mother Earth, Divine Feminine, Divine Masculine, inspiration, and creativity. And now allow your hands to fall back down onto your lap. Bring your awareness back into this time and space. If it supports you, allow that pillar of light to stay present. Otherwise, even though it's still always there, you can start to let it just fade away a little bit. Hello, Mark. I know. I always like, oh, can I just stay here?
So beautiful. I love you bringing the inspiration, the light of inspiration, right into the conversation.
Yes, yes.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I'm grateful that Noelle and Bob invited us together to have this conversation. That's really what it is. It's more a conversation than an interview. And I've been a part of this community for a very long time. I believe you have been a member of the CCC as well. The work that you're doing has always been in complete alignment with that, about creating a new way of being on the planet. And this book project that you invited me to be a part of, again, I just feel like it supports what is emerging for us as a human species, and for each of us individually in playing our part in the new way of being. So tell us a little bit about, first about you and your work, and then we can jump into inspired living.
Okay, great. Thank you. So my work is all about using everyday experiences for healing. My body of work kind of encapsulated by what I call sacred haven living. It is utilizing all of these beautiful opportunities. Your heart is wounded by a friend. How do you turn that into a positive and up level all of the energy around that? Or you notice that you have a push-pull relationship with money, and then you notice that you get close to people and you pull back. There's a commonality that's going on here, and we can utilize this awareness, we can utilize this energetic patterning in order to really step into who we truly want to be. Because I believe that we all come here to be beings of love. We all come here with speed bumps and things that slow us down along the way. But when we slow down and recognize the patterns, and where we slow down and recognize where we had opportunities and we said no, the next time that opportunity for healing comes along, we can utilize it. Or that time that that opportunity for healing comes along, we don't take it personally. We say, oh my gosh, I thought I'd healed this. I get one more time, or maybe two more times, but let's hope it's only one more time, to deepen letting go of whatever energy is slowing me down. And yeah, Nicole, or Noelle, the speed bump, right? It's a slowing down so that we can see what we're missing as we're traveling this road called life.
Mm-hmm. So very, very beautiful. And again, a lot of the work that you do is around being an intuitive in business. And the book Inspired Living is Superpowers for Hope, Love, and Business. And it's really interesting to see how all of these fit together, because I really see that my goal here, my mission in life, is to elevate the consciousness of humanity, That's what brought Noelle and Bob and I together in the first place.
Mhm.
And I really believe that my business, my work, is a sacred path. That it's one of the ways. So to raise consciousness of the humanity, first of all, is an inside job. It's not about me doing something to help other people. All the work that I do to help other people is all really to help me. It's just a trail to do for my own personal growth, just like being a father or being a husband, all of those other things. And I see that you and the work that you do with helping people in their business is about helping them to align with who they really are. Like that, your work as a business intuitive coach and all of that, and helping people to heal themselves while they're healing other people is a very beautiful and unique opportunity. And you have such a huge community of people that are doing this, that you've actually brought all of these different authors together that each have their own tools to bring into our kind of our little turkey soup, or stone soup. Everybody brings their ingredient that makes
Yes.
this delicious broth. Tell us a little bit about what led you. First of all, you were in our book over here. It was, I think, your ninth or 10th best-selling book that you were a part of, and then you decided that you wanted to host your own with all of the healers that were there. What inspired you to host your book and kind of step up yourself?
So, one of the things that I talk about in the introduction to my book is growing up in community. My mom is one of six, and four of the siblings are women. And, back in the day, you could be a teacher. There wasn't a whole lot of opportunities. So they were all teachers, and they literally came home to mom with their kids every summer. So, and my grandparents lived on 7 acres of land. They were both gardeners. My grandmother was a flower gardener. My grandfather was a vegetable gardener. There was a river that went through the back. We were the outside early in the morning, don't go to the river by yourself, come back for dinner crew. And it was an incredible way to grow up. And we all had jobs. We all worked together. We worked on the buddy system. We all literally slept in the barn. I mean, we had beds out there. And it was, as a child, it was magical. And I didn't know anything different other than being in community, other than working on connection. If you had an argument with one of the cousins, that's the one you got paired with the next day, so you could work it out. It's the way it worked.
Yeah.
And so my core values are community, connection, and collaboration. And being in those other collaborative books before made me realize that I had my own version that I wanted to bring out to the world. Each collaboration book has a theme. And my theme truly is it's living in that sacred haven, which is kind of close to heaven version of life, and being inspired. It's like, how do you turn those things that don't look so positive into something positive? And it's the hero's journey. Joseph Campbell, how do you overcome this thing that you just keep tripping over or face planting in, and how do you turn that into a superpower? And that's what birthed this for me. And I just, when I came up with the concept, first of all, I was terrified. I'm like, oh, who am I to create a book? I'm really good at contributing, but who am I to do that? And then who am I not to? What's the world missing if I don't step up and do that?
Mhm.
So that was my why.
Beautiful. And I think so many people can relate to that. And just hearing the call, you mentioned the hero's journey, and Joseph Campbell, and I just love that. I mean, that's the juice of my work and it's from Alan Davidson, and
Yeah, yeah.
the core of his work about how each of us has our hero's journey, and then as we go through it, we become the guides along somebody else's journey. And for you, the first part of the hero's journey is to hear the call. And so many of us hear the call, we hear him screaming, we hear him knocking, and we're like, I'm not coming to the door. I'm not answering that door. And you answered the door, you stepped outside, you went down the path, and again, it is that idea of who am I? But you wouldn't be getting the call if you weren't the one for the call. So
Right.
thank you so much for role modeling, answering the call, much less all the rest of it. The next piece, is that you then go out and face your demons, you find your guide, and then you bring back the boon to the community, which is really what this book is about, is all of these healers that are in your life, bringing the tools that they share back to your community and each other's communities, really.
Yeah, yeah, it's really been such a profound journey for me. And part of my response to what you just said on what coming together and answering Noelle also is, I was so fortunate to find an incredible publisher who I had done a number of different books with, who also is an editor. So our agreement was that she did the publishing and she also did the editing. So I had the gift, the opportunity to bring my team together. And then this publisher, Brave Healer Productions, managed the tactical piece, the behind the scenes piece, the editing. Now I also got each raw edit, so I could go in and make my comments, make my suggestions, tweaks. I was messaging authors all the time. Mark and I were behind the scenes a couple of times with questions and things. And it was such a gift for me because I personally invited every single person in here. Every author in this book is there because either I knew them, I respected them, we had a serendipitous connection through another person. Sometimes that's the way it works, right?
Oh,
I
yeah.
reached out to a friend of mine who I thought would be perfect, and it wasn't the right timing for them, but they said, oh, you need to meet this person over there. And they were the exact right person for this. So the 24 authors, besides myself, there's 25 total. They're a gift from God. That's my language. I know a lot of people use universe, source, whatever yours is, but in my world, they're a gift from God to bring this book of different paths. And there's so many different stories that are in here. There's childhood abuse, there's overcoming fears, there's I don't trust myself. There's so many different varieties. And I mean, there's actually a story in here about a man who didn't think that he had enough challenge in his life to be inspiring because his life had been easy. Well, that's a lot of people have an easy life in this lifetime. It doesn't mean it's not inspiring. It just means that this lifetime would happen to be a little bit easier for you. And yay, you. But the story for him to come to terms with that was so inspiring to me. And I think it opened my perspective because that wasn't my journey. My journey was a whole lot of hills, a whole lot of valleys, and a couple of mountains. So, to see someone who had the same struggles as me with a different journey, but we all end up in the same place. We're all on the same team. And that's my vision of humanity. We come at it from different perspectives. We've got different ideas. We've got different struggles. We've got different viewpoints. We're all human. We all live on the earth. We grow the plants. We drink the water. We have the same air. We need to find a way to support each other, to be inspired by each other, and to live together. That's what it's all, and honor our differences. That's what was so powerful for me with this book, is the different approaches that we took to making a difference. And it doesn't matter who we are or what we do, making a difference is what matters.
That is so beautiful. There's so much I had to take notes while you were sharing. But I'll start with the back and work forwards. You said to honor our differences, and that automatically reminds me of one of the revolutionary agreements that Bob and I are both certified in, which is I agree to honor our differences. And if we really want to create a world that works for everyone, we have to be able to practice that piece of it. You were also talking about. Go back to the beginning part about brave healing and having that team to manage the book. And for me, the benefit for the reader in that is, one, yes, not only did they do the editing and the production, but they are the cat herders. And Bob and Noelle have become professional cat herders as well. This takes a lot. There's a lot of production work to do it. And putting together a book, I'm doing that, my second one now. I know all that goes into it, but that the fact that it's not just the mechanics of it, that this is what she does. She works with healers. That's the world, and so the book is designed to support healing through all of these stories. And when you're telling, I can't wait to read the story about the person who didn't have the challenges, because I remember facing that just shortly after I think I met Bob and Noelle, feeling like I had just heard Ted McGrath speak from the stage about how as great transformational leaders we speak from our pain, that the pain that we've been through is what we're going to help other people heal. And I was like, oh no, I haven't had great pain in my life. I have one memory of pain in my life and it wasn't that bad compared to all the other stuff. It wasn't that bad. And what was even worse, my poor children, with parents like us, they're going to have no suffering in their lives at all. What are they going to possibly teach if they can't have any pain because they have such great parents? And my teacher laughed and said, are your parents divorced? I said, yes. Okay, great. You've got lots of pain to deal with, and don't worry, you'll screw your children up just enough for them to learn from too. So I love that idea about wherever somebody is and with their story, and that leads right back into, again, inspired living, superpowers for hope, love, and business. That it's these stories, and then what were the lessons and the tools that we got out of that. So there's a lot of the story, but every single chapter shares a tool. So we got 24 tools about inspired living and about how we work together to create community. And I want to come back to community because that's, again, what CCC is all about. But tell us a little bit more about the structure of it, and you mentioned that there were some of these tools, but if you want to talk a little bit more about that.
Sure. So yeah, there's 25 different authors, and they're all experts in each of their fields. Your chapter is all about soulful leadership. Big surprise, right? So, but you talk about your story and your journey on getting there, and then you give people a process. Mine is a journey to the sacred temple to discover my life's purpose. Sacred haven living. It's beautiful. There's another woman who had some severe childhood trauma. I don't want to go into the details. It's in the book. And she became a myofascial release specialist because the trauma that was stored in her body was making her ill. It was affecting her life. She was not able to move forward. So her tool is a very simple way to start that process. Another story is a person who became so depressed they almost took their life. And hearing the word of God, the voice of God, not knowing exactly what it was, and then stepping into, your mission is not done. You need to continue here. And then the healing that she was able to provide through her tool and through other things. And we've all got overcoming fear and how that happened, and exercise to step into overcoming fear. Abuse by a parent, and how do you get to the other side and have forgiveness and compassion for the parent who wounded you as a child. And all of the tools are related to that. That's with this type of book, and especially this book, there is such a beautiful synergy between the stories that these authors were guided to share and the gift that they are offering to the readers. just for the gifts alone, there's 25 powerful ways to heal yourself in this book. And it's I keep going back to it. I mean, I've read the book a number of times already. And I'm like, okay, what do I need to do today? Do I need an EFT script? Oh, there's an animal communicator in here on how do you overcome, the death of an animal. It's been a year and a half since my cat Petey passed. I still grieve on occasion. I see him out of the corner of my eye. I need to do some more tapping. There's a script in here. There's all of these beautiful things because, I truly believe as a healer, we need to continue to heal ourselves in order to evolve and to get to that, what did you call it, Mark? Tipping point of consciousness, where, the world is more in the healing mode and in the open mode and in the connection mode than the fear mode.
Absolutely.
And this moves the needle in that direction.
And that actually, you brought that the shift in fear. That's my mission, is really to shift human consciousness from our current state of the illusion of fear and separation to our natural state of love and deep connection. So that's really supports all of this. And in my own story, it's really interesting because and I've heard this from other authors, it brings out something that you didn't expect in yourself. It's not just the same story that I tell other people, because that's one of the things is you ask each of the authors to share something original, something that's not everywhere else, and something different about you. And I share my own story about how I learned that I had a fear of mutiny because my father was a minister growing up, and when he and my mother got divorced, he was thrown out of the church that he had built. And here it is, he was a spiritual leader, and now he was just literally rejected from his own church. And how I've seen that kind of in my industry, and the shit. And I share a very personal story about my father that I won't go into here. But again, if you want to read the book, it's something I've never shared before. And I was just sharing it with my stepmother. She goes, "I can't believe you shared that story, but I know you had your father's permission." But the tool at the end is such a very simple thing, again 500 words, but it's to me the most powerful thing that I use. It's the alignment consciousness, a 3-step process that I outline in the book that makes life easy, joyful, and in alignment with purpose, all the same things that you're talking about. And that's really what I'm here for. So I love that you created an opportunity for all of these healers to reach more people, and for all of the authors of each of their communities now to have 24 new tools from all the other authors that they may not have heard of before. So I'm really, really grateful to be a part of that. And you've done so much more than just the book. You've got a Facebook community, much like this Co-Creators Convergence community, where people can go and learn from other healers, not just in your book, I believe other books as well. Maybe it is just our book. I'll let you share a little bit more about that piece as well.
Sure. And before we get there, I want to answer Noelle's question. There is not a specific chapter about non-dual versus duality. There may be little bits and pieces of author stories that kind of bring that up. Nothing's coming to mind immediately, but there's not anything specific about that. So thank you for asking that. No, Mark, I got distracted by that. Can you ask me?
So one of the things I was talking about was first that we had this whole interview series where actually not an interview series, is a reading where we actually each of the authors read their chapter in a public Facebook group.
Yes, so we do have a community that I've created because, as I mentioned, community is a big piece of my life, not only with this book, but just in general. The community is called Inspired Living, Superpowers Community. It is an open group. Anyone is invited to join it. Not all of the authors have been invited. The majority of them have read their chapters. I think there's such power in the human voice. In hearing, you hear a different connection than when you read the words. I think that's why podcasts and videos and audible books are so powerful, because you really can connect at a different level, at a different energetic resonance with what the people have to say. So that those are all available in there. We have a Thursday meeting where the authors that can just join and we chat. We talk about consciousness. We talk about events. We talk about things that presented themselves as everyday learning experiences, because it happens. It doesn't matter how evolved you are, you always get to go to the next level. And so, and that all happens in the group. People are invited to ask questions. We do random giveaways. So and the authors also are invited to make offers. I am part of an organization that is actually continuing Alan Davidson's work. And we have a monthly masterclass. So I posted the link in there so people could join the masterclass if it felt right for them. It's just a way to expand consciousness, to keep the energy moving out. I want to, hopefully you can see this. Yeah. This is the cover of the book, but what I really want you guys to see is, wrong way with my finger. You see this light here? You can't really see it with the book from on here, but it's actually a ripple. There's a ripple of energy coming from the heart of this person's image that I have on this cover. And that's the way I view my life. I changed myself. I changed my family. I changed my kids. I changed my community. I changed this community of book people that I have. I changed this co-creators convergence community now because I've changed myself. And that's what we do. It's that drop, it's that shift that ripples out to the world that makes a difference. And that's what is just so inspiring for me. And that's what gets me out of bed in the morning. Not that I have an issue in general, but just saying, it's like, I'm like, oh my God, what do I get to do today? How do I get to make a difference? How do I be that ripple that changes the world? How do I reduce hate by living in love? Even when somebody cuts me off on the highway or, jumps in front of me at the grocery store. How do I change things by being positive? Not get into that. I have a family paradigm of life is difficult. How do I break that by saying the universe has got my back? Life is happening for me, not against me. I want to be that ripple. Yeah, right there. I want to be that ripple that makes a difference in the world. And that is what motivates me. You can probably tell I'm a little bit excited about it.
I absolutely love it. And that really kind of brings me full circle to where the first co-creators convergence event that I was at, the idea was, what does it look like? How do we create this new way of being? How do we shift? How do we create the shift that Barbara so passionately talked about? And the message that I received very clearly was become more of who you really are. And it really is about that. That was really the goal for me. It was like discovering more about who I am, and that to change the world, to raise the consciousness, it truly is an inside job about healing ourselves and creating that ripple. It goes back to the beingness over the doing. There's a lot of wonderful work that each of us are doing in the world, but how we're showing up and who we're being really requires healing. The work is never done. We never get it wrong, but we never get it done. And it's this ongoing process.
Yeah.
As we do that, we create bigger and bigger ripples for everyone else.
Yeah, there's so much power in that. And, I love the being versus doing, because when I first started this work, I don't know, 15 years ago, I've got a very logical and analytical component too. I'm classically trained in engineering. So it's like, follow the dots, make sure everything fits together. So, it's buy somebody else's program that tells you how to, get your message out into the world. And, I realized along the way that by me being me, I draw in the right people. I don't need to, because I was like draining my energy following everybody else's path. I would, or following you have to post 4 times on, Instagram at 3 and 12 and what, the like all of this stuff. And it was exhausting because it wasn't me. I'm not that. I'm kind of a random, oh, good. Oh, look at that. 12 a.m. I think I'll post because I'm awake and I had this great idea. But I would never do that in the past because it didn't fit what I was told to do. And now I'm like, oh, somebody needs to hear this. Somebody's going to wake up and they're going to see it and fall back to sleep because I did this random, thought out there. But that's being me. That's me shining my specific light from my heart, being vulnerable because it's not my natural state to, be like that. That's not the way I was raised, but it's truly who I am. And I invite everybody out there who's listening to be you, to be you, and not worry about doing what people tell you to do or following a methodology. Now, sometimes you have to. Like the publisher, when we were doing this book, she's just like, you get all the people, you let me pull them in, and occasionally you're going to have to herd cats. It's really a statement. But I want you to do your brilliance, and I want you to let me do the deadlines and figure out what has to be done and do the editing and worry about grammar. I don't want you to do any of that because that's not your thing. That's why you hired me. And when she said that to me, it was such a relief. It's like, I don't need to be someone I'm not. I don't need to do something that I'm not. Now, am I technically capable? Yes. Is everybody out there technically capable of doing a million things? Yeah. Do you want to? No, let it go. Let somebody else shine in their brilliance. Because there's somebody, like, just really quickly, I have a girlfriend who's very, very close to me, who's my CPA and bookkeeper. She loves paper. I have never met anybody who loves paper more than in their life. And she is just like a little kid. I break out in hives around paper and bookkeeping and stuff. So we are the perfect synergy. She gets to do what fires her up. I get to release and support somebody else's living with something that really, truly brings them joy, even though I'm very confused by it. But I don't have to understand why it makes her happy. All I need to do is say, I release something that doesn't bring me joy, and I hand it to someone who it does.
That is so beautiful.
That was a lot of talking. Sorry, I got on a roll there.
I love the riff. It was absolutely beautiful. And while you were riffing along, I wrote down a couple of notes around the beingness. One of my favorite sayings is that the greatest contribution that you can make in humanity is who you are being. Is who you are. Like really understanding how important that is, just who you are. Nothing at all about what you're doing, just who you are being is the greatest contribution that you can make. And especially when you're talking about marketing and all of the other pieces, while it's great to look at some of the strategies of what works and what doesn't, there's nothing better than authenticity. And one of my favorite lessons around marketing is that when you're being 100% authentic, you cannot say the wrong thing to the right person, and you cannot say the right thing to the wrong person. So marketing 101 is pure authenticity, and you will attract all of the right people into your life. But it's so hard. What does authentic mean? Because we've been trained of what we think we're supposed to be, who we think we're supposed to be, and so being on a committed to a lifelong process of self-discovery and self-healing. I think that's really what the journey of life is all about for me. And I'm so grateful to have you and so many other healers that are on the journey, holding the light and guiding us along the way. I'm curious if there's any kind of final thought, I'll invite Noelle to share any questions or other things as well. But as far as inspired living, and maybe it's from your chapter or something else, as far, because again, each one of these are tools, and it is about integrating this stuff into your life and actionable items. I love taking inspired action. Do you think that overall there's a kind of a either a call to action from the book, or something that you might lead people to go away from this conversation to really anchor in?
Yeah, that is a great question. And I haven't actually thought about the all together. I mean, I've thought about the collaborative and the energy of everyone together, but what is the call to action for the entire book? And I think that it's to truly be yourself, to have that hero's journey, because every person that I talked to, including you, when I invited you to be part of the book, I talked about the hero's journey. I talked about stepping into what was challenging for you. How did you use that to make your life different, easier, more enjoyable? How do you use that in your teaching now? Because I do believe that we come to learn what we need to teach. And how do you help people shortcut that? All the people who are in this book, they're all experts in their field. And there's radically different fields in this book. But there's a realtor in the book. You wouldn't think that, but he's also a coach for people who want to raise their business, because it's a mindset in real estate and it's beautiful. So how do you utilize that? How do you shortcut it? And that I'm engineer. I like shortcuts. How do you get from point A to point B with less pain? How do you do it faster? How do you do it easier? How do you do it with more joy? And how can I help you to do that? And all of the people that are in there have that process. They've got that step by step, or get to point A to B without going over to F along the way, because life can do that to us sometimes. Or if you get distracted and go to F, how do you come back sooner rather than getting stuck over there and beating yourself up? Every single person in here has that capability to hold the space for people to support them through that journey.
I love it. And as you were saying that, that's really a message that I received, was that inspired living is a journey, not a destination. It's like mastery. You don't just achieve it and then, okay, I've got inspired living. It is something that we're always doing. And the idea is that, for me, one of the things that I got from the book was discovering, as I read each other's story, my own superpowers, and realizing how I relate to each of the other things. And I think discovering for yourself that when you are inspired living, you are seeing your superpowers. You're discovering what is obvious to everyone else. For instance, and I don't really talk about this in the chapter, but people have asked, what is your greatest superpower? My greatest superpower is also what is known as my kryptonite. Renee said that, Renee, my wife, it was the one who first showed this to me, was that one of the challenges is that I see the best in everyone. And sometimes when you only see the best in everyone, you don't see all of the other human characteristics that they have that might be out of alignment with who you are and your mission and all the other things. And so it's important to see both. Mm-hmm. But I didn't realize how important it was seeing the best in people and being able to help them see that in themselves. And I saw a lot of that in this book, and the people that you brought into it, in how these ordinary everyday stories really were the stories of superheroes, and that we all have a superhero in us.
Yeah, we really do. And they touch across so many things. One of the ones that I want to kind of bring in is my friend Judy, who wrote a chapter about losing her son to suicide. And it's a difficult chapter to read. but the story and the journey turned her into opening a nonprofit to help kids at risk. And actually, the publisher and I are giving 10% back of all the royalties to her foundation, because it's important. It's important to keep kids on the planet, to keep them here so that they can continue to make a difference. So I'm a little choked up. And and that's a profound story, but they all have their deep impact just like that. I mean, as a parent, this is one that I think, we can all, our hearts are touched by the possibility or the probability or the fear of something like that. But how do you turn your greatest nightmare into a positive? And hers is a clear one to hindsight to see. All of them are like that. And we each, everybody, not just the people in my book, but everybody, we all have that possibility to turn our greatest fear into our greatest joy.
That's pretty
I
much
would agree.
the
We
mic
all
right
have
there.
that possibility. And when I see your book, I haven't read it yet, and I'm looking forward to, is like it's a chest on chest toolbox. And, there are different sized drawers with different types of tools. And you can pull out and go, no, that's not the right size, and put it back, and pull out another one and go, that's the perfect one. And I'm so glad I got that, because it made, getting accomplishing my goal so much easier. And it made the job painless. When you have the right tool, boy, the job goes, you try to screw in a screw with a hammer, it's not going to work real well.
No, it is definitely not. Yes, I agree with you. And the books behind me are some of the other collaborative books that I've been in, and I use it like, okay, what do I need to know? Just like that divine guidance, the angel whisper. Okay, I need to pull out this other book, and I need to just open it and see what the message is for me. And it's divine and it's powerful, and there's so many healing opportunities to dive into that. And Noelle, there may be a chapter that you don't read for 10 years in that book because it's not the right time, and there may be ones that you read over and over again because it's that unlayering that you get to understand it a little bit deeper. And that's what's so fun and yummy for me, is that we're never done. We just get to keep evolving.
We get shinier and shinier.
Well, also the opportunity for people to find themselves in the story, be inspired by, learn from the story, because there are people with different careers or different jobs, different life paths as it relates to something they could identify with. But then it's a personal story, and the personal story may be something they identify with, or a kind of a similar life path that somebody has been on, and then they get to discover the personal story of that. Really, really amazing. I'm reminded about this use of the word inspired so much is one of the things when we have stood in circle at Sunrise Ranch for the co-creators convergence is that's how I feel at the end of 4 or 5 days together, is I feel inspired and inspiring. And to see that, to have experienced that with a group of 20 or 30 or 35 people intensely over a period of time. And it's such a strong carrying forth into the world. This is superpowers in everyday life. And so the question isn't, boy, I had a wonderful time in this circle or this conversation tonight or reading this book, but what do I carry into my everyday life as a result of having the opportunity, the blessing of being with people in the circle or reading this book and their personal stories. Wonderful, wonderful way of bringing that gift, a collection of gifts to humanity.
Yeah, I think Barbara Marx Hubbard would be very proud. There are a lot of gifts to the shift in humanity in this book.
That's great.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Definitely a co-creation.
Yeah, I'm going to jump back to Bob was talking about being at the co-creators convergence. So I do remember the one and only time that Mark came.
I do too.
And it was really a difficult time for you because it's also your anniversary, your birthday. It's like, it always kind of fell in that area and you're like, oh, but, you were trying to figure out, I remember you were in the labyrinth.
Yeah.
We did a lot of walks in the labyrinth, and we had beautiful coaches. We even did one at night. Remember, we had the labyrinth all lit up with rope.
That was the one there, very, very powerful. I had a candle in each hand, balancing those. And as I was walking through the labyrinth, and most people probably already know that are listening to this, that a labyrinth is not a maze. It's not somewhere you get lost. It has a very clear entrance, a middle, and then an exit. And that it is a very spiritual process of communication where you can ask a question and receive a very clear answer. And for me, the question was, how do I balance my family and my mission? That was really it. Like, how do I balance my marriage specifically and my mission? And the message came, just keep doing what you're doing. Keep putting one foot in front of the other.
Beautiful.
Mark, I just have to say, we have a picture somewhere of you with those two candles.
Yeah.
That was what was on my mind. I will never forget it. Oh, that's awesome.
I know it was, a really key moment. And, I'm also going to just jump back when you're talking about authenticity. I put this in the chat, but we took a class with Barbara DeAngelis. It's called Speaking Master Class. And it was all about how to really be more authentic when you're speaking. She said, you're speaking, but it's like your voice is way behind you or way ahead of you. And she, could kind of like triangulate where you were, that you really weren't coming from your heart or from your throat chakra. And it was really interesting work. It was one of my favorite classes.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget, she told about, being authentic and the power of being authentic. And I'll relate that to the real estate sales, but I used to have my broker's license. And my first year, I blew out the rookie of the year thing, and because of this authenticity thing, I guess. But she told us that W.C. Fields said he never wanted to be on a stage with a child or an animal because they'll always upstage him. Why? Because they're so authentic. I mean, could you see a child, and running around in diapers, the toddler, putting on an act, pretending to be something that the child is not.
Or a chimp.
Right. Yeah.
But,
unbridled authenticity.
Unbridled
Authenticity.
They just, oh, Bob just got the picture up. You want to show it? You can do a screen share. We got your picture, Mark.
And so this is Sunrise Ranch in Colorado, Loveland, Colorado, one of the oldest intentional community in the United States.
Yeah, spiritual communities. Yeah. There you are.
There you are. Look at that. I love it.
Firmly planted.
Yep, that was really that was a beautiful, beautiful gathering. We've made so many friends through that.
I'm going to ask you another question, Carolyn, about, I wrote a note about being distracted and wandering off to place F on your way from A to B. And so, that can happen for us personally. And then again, a world pandemic can do that and send us over to F. And when we thought really, really we're positive we were on our way to B, were there stories told or some of your life experience or more that you might share about it's sometimes our distraction and ourselves that happen. Maybe it's illness, death of a child, all kinds of things that are close and personal. But the fact is, it can change in the politics of the world, the politics of the nation, the health, climate catastrophe. I mean, people moving around in this country already that are climate refugees in this country. And they probably just thought they were going to be.
Right. So I'll give you a personal one for my A to F to B. And it's COVID related.
Yeah.
So I also own in addition to all the spiritual work that I do, I own a traditional dog walking and pet sitting company in Massachusetts. I used to live in Massachusetts, and it's in person. So we walked the dogs from the client's home. When COVID hit, nobody went to work. My business went from multi six figures to actually only 1 0, nothing, absolutely nothing. I had to close the business down. I had to lay off all of my employees. I had to take a whole lot of deep breaths because I mean, I have a balance between the two businesses, and, I lost half of my revenue. And I lost a lot of what I gave back to the world because people love their animals. After my deep breaths and tapping into why am I way over here, I realized I can use my background to change all the systems I'm using to run the business. I can make it simplifier. I can save money. I can do X, Y, Z. And so I took that 3 months that the world was truly shut down, simplified everything, cost cutted everything, figured out how to give my staff raises when we were going to go back, because they were taking a risk going out into people's homes. And I'm back up where I'm higher than I was before because I bounced over there. And oh, by the way, in the middle of all of that, I moved from Massachusetts to North Carolina. I had to figure out how to manage my business 1,000 miles away to make sure that I had the support people. So if somebody called in sick, it's not me, who it usually was, because even though I'd like to get in my car and drive, I'm 1,000 miles away. But I had to go someplace totally unexpected to get me out of that daily routine, same way of thinking. This is the way it's always going to be. I can't do it different. Even a little bit of the marketing stuff, I realized some of the marketing that I was doing wasn't making sense. I needed to spend more time in other ways. And it's a gift. Was it a scary path to the gift? Oh yeah. Yes. And my heart's still going, yes, it was. But total gift. And the other gift that came out of that was me really diving back into my writing. So maybe that was point G or H or F, I don't know. But when I wasn't out there walking dogs every single day, I had more time to do the creative aspect. And when the publisher Laura asked who wanted to be in a book in March of 2020, I'm like, I need a way to keep my mind busy because I don't have a business right now, or that business right now. And it shifted everything for me. And I've written, I think, 8 books since then, or in 8 books since then. Yeah, 2 years. So that's
a lot of books.
Yes, and they're all the collaboratives, which is where I am right now. It's the energy that works for me. But and Mark's was one of them. I was one of the authors in his Soulful Leadership book, and for me to be able to, so I'm in all these different communities, and without COVID, without that, whoa, we all got to go over here where we don't want to be or we don't expect to be, I wouldn't have had that opportunity because I would have been too busy doing the status quo to reorganize the company or to take on writing, 1 book, let alone 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's completely changed my life. I mean, I met you guys through that.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, indeed. And
Indeed.
When you talk about the business and the inspiration that came from that, it just reminds me of, there were creative shifts that had to happen in business. When there was already curbside service before COVID in some businesses.
Yeah.
And some of the grocery stores were starting to have it. And Judgment Bob was like, we Americans are so darn lazy that we can't even go to the grocery store anymore, bring it out to the curb. But then COVID, and then the businesses that already were there were inspiring other businesses how to do it. We have very dear friends here locally that owned a gelato deli And they had had it for 10 years or 12 years. And very small business, depended on college students for their staff primarily that would, come and go and this, that, and the other. Wonderful, wonderful place, meeting place, community place. And the husband had developed technology systems of online selling and things like that, that as soon as he saw this coming, boom. And just for this little corner-side deli in Johnson City, he was like the first to be doing curbside, protecting his employees and all of that. And so it inspired others to do that, regardless of whether they're Best Buy or Home Depot or whether they're a corner deli. And I see in that, the inspiration of others, being able to bring inspiration to others in your creative way of going about everyday life, in this case, business life.
Yeah, and it's powerful. And I look at just the pet care industry that I was in, that local thing. Over half of the companies in my area went out of business.
Wow. Yeah.
Because a lot of them, they didn't have the systems in place. They didn't have the other revenue stream. They didn't have whatever system to even be able to collect unemployment, because a lot of them were doing stuff under the table.
Right.
So to step into embracing what is and how do you build on that versus fighting it was just huge. It exploded things for me.
I love that you said that, because it goes right back to what I was just about to share with Bob, asking about going back to the COVID and bringing this into that I really see that the ability to adapt to change is a superpower, and that it's one of those things that we need all the time. So being able to be adaptive is one of the things that we learned from COVID, and it goes all the way back to Buddhism. The Buddha said that all of life is suffering, and all suffering comes from attachment. And there are really two different types of attachment. There's an attachment to snakes and butterflies. We're either attached to avoiding the pain of experiences that we've had with snakes and different things that scare us, and there's an attachment to butterflies and how wonderful and good things are at certain times in our life, and we want to hold on to those forever. And so what we resist persists, as well as what we try to hold on to is always fleeting, and it can never be what we're hoping it to be. So when we're able to just be in the moment, and when things like COVID happen, where we can again just kind of adjust to what is and create new systems, it forced us to, like you said, adapt and change and try new systems, to not just for COVID, but now grocery delivery is something that people use to save money and gas and all kinds of other things all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yep.
Well, I was in Walmart today, and we had to pick up something we couldn't buy anyplace else, because we don't like,
that's the only reason you'd be there.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I'm seeing these women and they have these big carts with these blue bins on them, and like there must have been 10 of them that they're pushing around, looking at this list, pulling out and stuff. And I'm thinking like, wow, so now people are not even going to the grocery store, not even, it's amazing. They look so under stress. But I was thinking, wow, we also check ourselves out, but sometimes, I cringe at change, but then, I just kind of think that I learned a long time ago, or I accepted a long time ago, death, taxes, and change. But now I'm not even believing in death, so that's got to go. And taxes, optional sometimes, but change, yes. And I think that's where you find out what is truth. Truth is eternal and never changing.
Ever changing.
Ever.
Never changing.
Never changing. Never changing.
The opportunities all around it are changing. Yeah.
Right. And that's how my spirituality is. When when I talk to God or Holy Spirit, that relationship and that vibration is never changing. It's always love. It's always there for me. I'm never alone. But in this, Maya illusion that we're in, these things change. This body's going to change. I don't know how many times it's changed and then change again. But
you want me to bring up a picture of your hairdos?
I love your long hair. I've never
I
seen your hair so
do.
long.
I've never
It's
had.
almost as long as Bob's now.
It's almost as long as mine. That's correct.
Yeah, but mine is silver, as Bob says, and his is still,
Blonde.
yeah. How do you figure that? And he's older than
You
me.
do what you do.
Okay, we're getting off track here. Okay, I got a challenge for you, Carolyn. Let's go to, get your book out. Let's go to, Bob, pick a number.
Well, 7, of course.
Okay, so let's go to chapter 7 and let's see what chapter 7 is about. I just like to do this sometimes because, the synchronicity sometimes brings up like.
Helen was just saying that.
Chapter 7, Shine Your Authentic Light, Cultivating Your Superpower Using Joyful Self-Care by Jeanette Stewart, Angel Practitioner.
Self-care.
I love it.
Self-care, and this particular woman used positive affirmations to heal herself from pancreatic cancer.
Wow.
Holy mackerel.
Wow.
Wow.
And positive affirmations.
Wow.
Mm.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. And her tool is an angelic attunement by Archangel, well, please. Haniel. Yeah.
Ariel?
Haniel.
Oh, Haniel. Okay, I'm not
I
familiar.
don't
with
know,
that.
Haniel.
I don't know Haniel.
Yep, I gotta skip ahead. Yes. Angel of Joy.
Hmm.
I never knew there was an angel of joy.
Well, that'd be Noel's angel.
All right, that's my angel now.
Haniel.
Chapter 7. There you go.
That's the perfect tool.
It is.
Somebody-
You want to pick another one?
Go ahead.
No, Bob picked 7. Well, 7 come 11. Let's do 11.
Let's do 11.
That other one also brought up authenticity, which we've just been talking about, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
So chapter 11 is the one that I alluded to before, the breakdown before the breakthrough, achieving untouched levels by Chris Stoner, the fascial performance coach. And she had a very traumatic childhood experience that you can read about in the book, and then became a myofascial release specialist. Really, she's an expert now in that field. She uses it in her coaching, and she guides you through a step-by-step process for like really a level 1 experience, so that you can start to feel the release in your joints, in the fascia, and how you hold the story in your body. I mean, there's so many different versions, myofascia is one, EFT is another. There's a lot of other ways to release that stored trauma in your body, and that is her tool.
Mm.
She's
Wow.
amazing. I love Chris.
She is, yes, that's right. Mark knows her too. So Mark, you pick a number.
Yeah, Mark, you pick a number.
21.
That many chapters.
Oh, that's yours, Mark. That's cheating.
Oh,
Mine's 24.
I was just kidding you.
I wouldn't pick my own chapter.
Okay, what do we got? 21.
21, The Power of Your Stories, a yogic path for writing to heal by Rebecca Lynn Gold. She is a yoga practitioner, and she does workshops to help people use yoga for release to their blocks to writing.
Wow.
I love that. And I really love, again, I mentioned this with writing my story, there's a therapeutic quality of that. And I highly recommend, whether you ever want to get it published or not, that everybody write, whether it's just journaling and being able to communicate yourself, all of that stuff. It's very, very powerful.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yep.
I think we have to get that book before our next CCC, because as Mark knows, we always do. Well, we keep people hustling. We do different processes, and some are laugh out loud and some go very, very deep. We're all over the place, but I'm just thinking, I know of some of the people we're going to have such a range. We have a person
There we
coming who is really kind of having a dark night of the soul, really questioning everything about her belief system that she's been so indoctrinated with, to, people that could, be on this call with us.
That would be chapter 25,
The Dark Night of the
25?
Soul.
Dark Night of the Soul.
Yeah.
Literally making friends with the Dark Night of the Soul.
Chapter
Whoa.
25.
All
Chapter
right.
25.
Okay.
What
so
is-
now- go ahead,
What
Mark.
is your theme this year?
It's gathering of light bringers. So
Ooh.
we're about bringing light to the planet. We're going to be at the White Eagle Lodge. And they were actually started, it's a esoteric group that started in England, which actually goes back to Arthur Conan Doyle, who wrote Sherlock Holmes, was a spiritualist. And he's had his own shop. And he used to have seances and tell people, nope, there's nothing. You're dead, you're dead. That's it. So when he got to the other side, he went,
Uh-oh.
uh-oh. So it's really a fascinating story. Through his daughter's friend or something like that, he was able to bring through all this wisdom that became the teachings of the White Eagle.
teaching.
And there's just volumes and volumes and volumes, but they're very much about the Christ light.
Love that.
We're going to be in one of the places that we will be is very beautiful. It's called Temple of the Golden Rose. And it's just an amazing a temple. And that they're just going to give us, it's 77 acres. They're just going to give us free range over the place. Has a beautiful labyrinth with a fire pit in the middle and it's sacred grove. And we're really looking forward to it.
We're also looking forward to the fact that of those registered already, most of them have never been in the circle before.
Wow.
And so while it's wonderful to have, Mark, of course, you know, David and Talia, they're the only ones besides Noel and I have been to every one of the 9 events, but the majority of people have not been in the circle before. And we've found them through these Thursday night conversations and paying it forward, not paying it forward, sharing it forward of, someone who's a conversationalist here brings a conversationalist down the road next month or the following month or whatever. And through our work with Unity, it's expanded worldwide through World Unity Week. And Mark, you all have been a part of that. And
Many times.
And so
is Carolyn.
So yeah, of course. And so we're very excited about having that because the inspiration and inspired by just keeps on multiplying.
So now how would someone get your book?
Yeah, where is it?
So it is on Amazon.
Okay.
You can get the digital copy on Amazon. You can also get a hard copy. I also, if you want to have an autographed copy, you can email me. My email is carolyn@carolynmcgee.com. I will, we'll figure out the payment piece and I will ship it off to you with a personalized inscription. So.
Well, I think we need to get one of those. And I think it needs to be the hard copy because, with all these tools, I want to make sure I'm following all the directions correctly. Oh, darn, what did they say?
And a lot of the people too have done recordings of them. They've got either a PDF on their website, there's information in there, or they've recorded if it's a meditation. So, you can read it in the book and then you can go to the website and connect with the author and be able to download that resource, which it's again, the resonance of someone's voice, you get to know them better. You get to go deeper in the process. First of all, because you're not reading it to yourself as you're doing it, but also you're getting the energy of the expert.
So, okay, so you go to their website and they actually recorded it. It's not done.
But you actually have it in the Facebook group. Maybe you could post the link to the Facebook group where some of us read the chapter.
Yeah, that's a great idea because yeah.
Okay. Yep, I have that on chat here and on Facebook already. Yep.
Okay, very cool. And I'll edit it in here.
These are professional cat wranglers here. They got multitasking, plate spinning.
But yeah, I just want to say, is there any final closing? I mean, there's been so much wisdom here. I mean, you really covered a lot of ground. And but we just want to give you a final option to lay some wisdom on us. How's that? Joyfully.
My wisdom is that we truly are all one. We're one energy in separate physical bodies right in this moment, living on one earth in one cosmos. And every time I make a shift, you make a shift. Every time you make a shift or you don't make a shift, you impact me. We all impact each other. And if we think about that, it's going to change the way we make decisions.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
We are one.
We
Love
are
is
one.
here.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sure does.
Absolutely. Well, thank you both so
Yeah.
much for the time you've spent with us.
Well,
It's always just a joy to be with you, and I love the work you're doing. And you know, I guess on your website, Carolyn, do you have the other books that you're in?
I do, yes.
Okay, good. So people can learn about your contributions and other books. And are you working on another one now?
Two, because one's not enough for me.
By
I've got
2024, she'll have 20 different books. And then in 2025, she's going to do a compilation of all the chapters she's been in other books and make one book out of all of her other chapters.
That's actually
Perfect.
2023.
Oh,
So I do have another book that I'm contributing to called Energy Medicine that's coming out in November. There's another book called Love Warrior, which is coming out in January. And then after that, my angels are quite insistent and loud that I need to do exactly what Mark said and pull together and come out with my own story. And I've got a number of other smaller books. You know, I've been teaching about intuition, but I haven't written a book about it. So, you know, that's like another calling that I need to do. So yes, I've got a lot. So 2023 and 24 will be my own writings coming out.
And in 2023, your Carolyn was live with us in 2020 in Orlando.
Mhm.
It was 2/2/2020 for our Soulful Leadership Retreat. We have booked our retreat location for 2023, February 9th, 10th, and 11th for the Soulful Leadership Retreat, 1 mile outside of Disney. It's a Wyndham Celebration Resort.
Beautiful.
And Mark will find information about that. Does it have a separate website, or do we find information on Mark?
Soulful Leadership Retreat, soulfulleadershipretreat.com.
Very good. Hit the mute button. Thank you so much. It's been a joy to be with you, and we're just honored you chose to spend this time with us. And I look forward to seeing who you're going to host.
Yeah, Carolyn. Bring it forward.
All right.
All
Awesome.
right.
There's another
Thank you,
person out there that's would like to shine on a Thursday night or first Saturday of the month.
It's
All right.
always a joy. Okay.
Keep shining your light.
Okay.
Who it is.
Have a wonderful
Thank
evening.
you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank
Wow.
you.